New Orleans, the vibrant heart of Louisiana, is sinking. This city, famous for its rich culture, jazz music, and unique blend of French, African, and American heritage, is facing a crisis that threatens its very existence. For centuries, New Orleans has been a symbol of resilience, surviving hurricanes, floods, and social upheaval. But now, a new and relentless force is at work beneath its streets. This isn't hyperbole, it's a terrifying reality. The ground beneath New Orleans is literally sinking, a process known as subsidence. Every year, the city edges closer to disaster as water seeps in and the land gives way. The memories of Hurricane Katrina still haunt the city, serving as a stark reminder of how vulnerable New Orleans truly is. New studies reveal the city is losing ground at an alarming rate, up to 2 inches per year in some areas. This means that entire neighborhoods are slowly but steadily dropping below sea level, making them even more susceptible to flooding. Scientists are racing to understand the causes, from natural geological shifts to the impact of human activity, such as groundwater extraction and the construction of levees that disrupt natural sediment flow. Imagine a city slowly vanishing beneath its own weight. Streets that once bustled with life are now threatened by encroaching waters. Homes, schools, and businesses face the constant risk of being swallowed by the next big storm or even a heavy rain. That's the stark future facing New Orleans. If nothing changes, entire communities could be lost forever, and the city's iconic culture could become a memory, preserved only in photographs and stories. But it's not alone. Across America, coastal cities are grappling with a similar threat. The land beneath them is disappearing. From Miami to New York, Houston to San Francisco, millions of people are living on borrowed time as rising seas and sinking land converge to create a perfect storm of risk. This isn't just about losing beloved landmarks or iconic neighborhoods. It's about the erasure of history, the destruction of communities, and the unraveling of the social fabric that holds these cities together. It's about the displacement of millions of Americans, the loss of homes and businesses, and a catastrophic blow to our nation's economy. Families are forced to leave behind everything they know, while local economies struggle to recover from repeated disasters. The emotional toll is immense, as people watch their neighborhoods disappear and their futures become uncertain. The situation is dire, the clock is ticking, and the time for action is now. Without immediate and sustained efforts to address both the causes and consequences of land subsidence and flooding, New Orleans, and cities like it, could face irreversible loss. The fate of these communities depends on our willingness to act, innovate, and invest in their survival. The ground beneath our feet seems solid, immutable. We walk on it every day, build our homes and cities upon it, and rarely stop to consider what lies beneath. Yet, this apparent stability is often an illusion. Beneath the surface, powerful forces are constantly at work, shaping and reshaping the land in ways that can be both subtle and dramatic. Sometimes these changes happen so slowly that we barely notice them. Other times the effects are sudden and devastating, altering landscapes and threatening communities. But the Earth is a dynamic, ever-changing system. Its surface is in a state of perpetual motion, influenced by natural processes and human activities alike. Rivers shift their courses, coastlines erode, and the ground itself can rise or fall over time. These changes are part of the planet's natural cycle, but they can have profound impacts on the people and infrastructure that depend on stable ground. Land subsides or sinks for various reasons. This phenomenon, known as subsidence, can occur gradually over decades or rapidly in response to specific events. It affects cities and rural areas alike, leading to cracked roads, damaged buildings, and even the loss of entire neighborhoods. Understanding why land gives way is essential for protecting our communities and planning for the future. In New Orleans, the Mississippi River plays a key role. For thousands of years, this mighty river has shaped the landscape, depositing rich sediments that built up the land and created the delta on which the city now stands. The relationship between the river and the land is complex and ever-evolving. The river naturally deposits sediment, building up land over time. Each year, floods would bring fresh layers of silt and clay, replenishing the soil and counteracting the natural tendency of the land to sink. This process was vital for maintaining the elevation of the delta and supporting the unique ecosystems and communities that developed here. But levees, built to control flooding, disrupt this process. While these massive barriers protect the city from dangerous floodwaters, they also prevent the river from spreading its life-giving sediment across the land. Over time, this has led to a dangerous imbalance, as the land continues to sink, but is no longer replenished by the river's natural cycles. Without the river's replenishing sediment, the land compacts and sinks. The weight of the soil itself, combined with the lack of new material, causes the ground to settle and drop in elevation. This process, known as compaction, is especially pronounced in areas built on soft, waterlogged soils like those found in New Orleans. Other factors contribute to subsidence as well. Across the United States and around the world, cities face similar challenges. Natural processes, such as the decomposition of organic material in the soil, can cause the ground to sink. But increasingly, human activities are accelerating the problem. The weight of buildings and infrastructure can compress the soil beneath. As cities grow and more structures are built, the added pressure pushes down on the ground, squeezing out water and air and causing the land to settle. This is especially true in areas with soft or loosely packed soils, where the effects of construction can be dramatic and long-lasting. The extraction of groundwater, oil, and gas can also create underground voids, leading to sinking. When these resources are pumped out faster than they can be naturally replaced, the empty spaces left behind cause the ground above to collapse or subside. This is a major issue in many urban and agricultural regions, where intensive resource extraction has led to significant land loss and increased risk of flooding. Understanding the science behind subsidence is crucial to addressing this growing crisis. By studying the causes and effects of land sinking, scientists, engineers, and policymakers can develop strategies to protect vulnerable communities, restore natural processes, and ensure a safer, more resilient future for cities like New Orleans and beyond. Only by working together and respecting the dynamic nature of our planet can we hope to prevent the ground from quite literally giving way beneath our feet. Levees have long been seen as essential for protecting New Orleans from the mighty Mississippi. But these very structures, designed to shield the city, may be hastening its demise. By preventing the river from depositing sediment, levees have disrupted the natural balance. The result is a double whammy: land loss is accelerated, and the city becomes even more vulnerable to the rising waters they were meant to hold back. This ironic twist highlights the complex challenges facing coastal communities. Solutions implemented with the best intentions can sometimes have unintended consequences. It underscores the need for comprehensive, science-based approaches to address the multifaceted problem of sinking cities. New Orleans is a dramatic example, but it's not alone in its struggle against the sinking tide. Across the United States, coastal cities are facing a similar plight. Miami, with its glamorous beaches and high-rises, is battling rising seas and sinking land. Galveston, Texas, still bears the scars of past hurricanes, made worse by subsidence. From the Gulf Coast to the eastern seaboard, the threat is real and growing. Scientists are using advanced technology, including satellite imagery and ground-based sensors, to map areas of greatest concern. These maps paint a sobering picture of a nation at risk. Climate change adds another layer of urgency and danger to the sinking cities crisis. As global temperatures rise, glaciers and ice sheets melt at an accelerating rate, adding more water to our oceans. Sea levels are rising, putting coastal communities in the direct path of increasingly frequent and severe flooding. The combination of sinking land and rising seas is really a recipe for disaster. What was once a problem for future generations has become an immediate threat. The time for action is now, before it's too late. The crisis of sinking cities is not an equal opportunity threat. It disproportionately impacts the most vulnerable among U.S. minority communities and low-income residents. These are the families and individuals who often lack the resources to relocate, rebuild, or recover from increasingly frequent and severe flooding. The human cost of this crisis is, honestly, immeasurable. It's the loss of homes, businesses, and livelihoods. It's the displacement of families and the disruption of communities. It's the fear and uncertainty that comes with knowing your home is literally sinking beneath your feet. The economic fallout from sinking cities is just beginning to be understood, and it's staggering. The cost of property loss alone is in the billions, and that's before you even factor in the impact on businesses, infrastructure, and tourism. As sea levels rise and flooding becomes more frequent, insurance premiums skyrocket, making it unaffordable for many to remain in their homes. The financial burden of this crisis will be borne by all of us, not just those living on the coasts. It will require massive investments in infrastructure, disaster relief, and relocation efforts. The longer we wait to act, the greater the economic consequences will be. Scientists have been sounding the alarm about rising sea levels and sinking cities for decades. Their warnings, which were once dismissed by some as alarmist, are now impossible to ignore. The data is clear, the trends are alarming, and the time for action is running out. The future is uncertain, but one thing is clear: the risks are real, they are growing, and they demand our immediate attention. This is not just a coastal issue, it's a national crisis that requires a coordinated, comprehensive response. The crisis of sinking cities is a complex problem, one that touches every aspect of our lives, from the safety of our homes to the stability of our communities. Yet, despite the daunting challenges, this crisis is not insurmountable. History has shown that when faced with adversity, people can come together, innovate, and adapt. But to do so, we must first recognize the scale and urgency of the threat before us. Addressing the issue of sinking cities requires a multifaceted approach, one that goes far beyond any single solution. First and foremost, we must take decisive action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. By transitioning to renewable energy sources, improving energy efficiency, and supporting sustainable transportation, we can slow the rate of global warming and, in turn, the rise of sea levels. Every ton of carbon dioxide we keep out of the atmosphere buys us precious time to adapt and protect our cities. At the same time, we need to invest heavily in resilient infrastructure. This means building and maintaining levees, seawalls, and floodgates that can withstand more frequent and severe flooding. It also means rethinking urban design, elevating critical buildings, improving drainage systems, and creating green spaces that absorb excess water. These investments not only protect property and lives, but also create jobs and strengthen local economies. In addition, we must explore innovative solutions to mitigate land subsidence, the gradual sinking of ground that makes flooding worse. This could involve new technologies to monitor and stabilize the soil, smarter water management to prevent over-extraction of groundwater, and policies that encourage sustainable development. Collaboration between scientists, engineers, and policymakers is essential to finding and implementing these solutions. But perhaps most importantly, it requires a shift in mindset. We need to foster a culture of preparedness and resilience where communities are empowered to take action and participate in decision-making. Public engagement, education, and transparent communication are key to building trust and ensuring that everyone understands the risks and the steps we can take together. We can no longer afford to view this as a distant problem for future generations to solve. The impacts of climate change and land subsidence are already being felt today in neighborhoods across the country. Every flood, every storm, every loss is a reminder that the time to act is now. The future is not some far-off concept, it is unfolding before our eyes. The choices we make in the coming years will determine the fate of our cities, our families, and our way of life. We must demand bold leadership, support innovative solutions, and work together to protect what matters most. The fate of our coastal cities, and the millions of Americans who call them home, hangs in the balance. By acting now, with urgency and determination,